Hey everybody, welcome back to another video for the Unreal Engine tutorial series. We are going to be doing our inventory slots and our inventory grid UI today in this video here. The next video we're going to do the actual inventory page, assign our input to be UI only, and then we're going to actually have it appear on screen and showcase what we've been picking up. And okay, so let's get started here. I do want to show you guys another little cool thing here. So if you guys play your game, you will notice that your mouse is just going to be like, just insanely crazy. So a quick fix for that I'll show you guys here. You go to your player character, stop simulating, go to your player character, if you go to your camera input, which is in your event graph right below your add input mapping that we were at the other day. So by default, the pitch and yaw input sensitivity is really high. So you can add this little node here. So promote both of these guys to variables. And then make sure you disconnect the values here to start. And then you're going to get your X value and times it by, and then promote this to a variable and call it X sensitivity. And same for the Y. Plug the X sensitivity into yaw and the Y sensitivity into pitch. And then compile, and then you guys can set the sensitivity. I put it at 0.5, I think that's pretty good. And then later on, if you guys have settings, your players can actually change the sensitivity settings and have something that they actually like. But just in terms of Unreal Engine and using it and making the game, like, this works for me, so that's what I have the default set as. Alright, let's get into our actual inventory here. So first things first, we need to make a control for our inventory. So we're going to go into Input. We're going to go to Actions, and we're going to right click and get Input Action. Call this Open. Oh boy. Open Inventory. Okay, we're going to go back to our input and to our IMC as per usual. We're going to add Open Inventory, and I'm going to do Tab, and then I'm going to add another input, and we'll do I. And both of these will open the inventory, and we do want them to be pressed. Only want to open our inventory once. Okay. Yeah, triggers, lots of different things we can do in here. I think I pointed that out a couple videos ago, but yeah, press is going to be only firing the trigger once, and it won't cause us to kind of flutter our menu. Okay, we'll hit save. And next thing we need to do is we need to make our slot. So we're going to get more into the UI stuff in this video. We're going to go to user interface, widget, user widget, and I'm just going to call it inventory slot. Let's open that guy up. Couple of things. So we're not going to do a canvas panel for this slot because we want to spawn 24 of them on our inventory page. So we want to work with them as they are. So we're going to come up to, instead of fill screen, we want desired on screen. So we're going to see what it actually is going to look like when it's rendered. Okay, to start, we want our inventory to be a specific size. So we're going to get a size box. I can't spell. Okay, our size box, we're going to override the width and the height, and we're going to make it 100 for each. Okay, a size box can only have one child, so we're going to need to add an overlay. So we can add multiple children, because if you roll over there, it doesn't say anything about multiples or single children or anything. But yeah, we're going to want to add a overlay just so that we can add a couple of items on top of each other, so they stack on top of each other, and obviously so we can add multiple of them. We're going to want to add a button onto the overlay. This button is going to act as our use /drop /cancel button later, but we're going to get it set up now. So first, let's select it to fill horizontally and fill vertically. We're going to go to style. So normal, hover and press, we need to basically make sure all have the same thing. So I did include in the description the free assets for this video. Okay, so we're going to just open this up. We'll go back to assets, and we're going to add in our white X and white UI circle. And as we did before, we're going to right click, go to asset actions, edit property, and property matrix. The compression settings we need to fix again. Compression quality, where was it? Oh, multiply, here you go. User interface 2D, and the texture world we want to be UI. Okay, save. Alright, so for images, let's click that. We'll just type white, and then there's our white circle. We are going to select a tint. I'm gonna do the same color as my health bar, which should be saved up there from last time. We'll hit OK. We're gonna right click and copy this, and then go to our hovered, and then paste, and then pressed and paste, and we don't have to deal with that. We do have to do the tint again. There we go. Okay, so this is what our UI slot's gonna look like. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is, if you come over to basically all three of these, you'll notice that this area here, this is being drawn as like super weird shape. And that's because if you look at draw as, it's drawing it as a rounded box, and we need it to be drawing as an image. Okay, so that's it for normal. For hovered, same thing, image. And let's just change the color a little bit for when we have hovered over. Something like that. And then we're gonna go to pressed, same thing, draws an image, and we'll change the color to like orange or something. Maybe even like a little darker orange. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, so that'll be so you can see the colors there. That'll be what is going on when we're hovering and when we're pressing the button. Okay, we're gonna hit compile, and we're gonna just rename this mouse button, because we're gonna be using this, which means it needs to be a variable. So just make sure that's checked off. Okay, we'll click on overlay, and the next thing we need to add is an image. This is going to be the item image that is displayed based on what item we've picked up. We're going to make this fill horizontally and vertically. And obviously it's covering our button up, so we want to go down to our transform. And scale, we want to make like 0.85. And let's just put a example image in there just to see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. Okay. We will rename this item image. And this will need to be a variable as well, because we're going to be dynamically changing that. Alright, now we need to make a little circle up here that's going to be showing us how many items we have if we have more than one. So to do that, we're going to have to add another size box. And we'll add it to our overlay. Okay, and then we need to add another overlay to our size box, because once again, our size box can only have one child. So overlay can have multiple children. Okay, we're going to get another image, so we can actually just probably copy paste this guy, and we're going to rename it to item number background. Don't put the number sign because that disappears when you're doing coding. Anyways, so first of all, this size box we got to override, and we'll do 25 by 25. Something like that. Yeah. Remember we copy pasted, so the transform, is it the scale? Where's the scale? Oh, the scale is normal. Sorry about that. That's what's not normal. For the item number background, we just want to turn the scale back to 1. And we're going to replace this with our white circle, and we'll make the tint the same as the rest. And finally, we're going to add some text. So text on the overlay down here, and we're going to rename this item number text. Okay, make sure that is a variable. And make sure this does not need to be a variable. Actually, sorry, this does need to be a variable. Actually, no, it doesn't. We're going to make it make the overlay a variable instead. Overlay number of items, because if we so what we're going to do is later on is once we have one or less, this thing's going to disappear, so we'll just hide the overlay, which hides everything, versus hiding both of these at the same time. Okay, so on the text block we'll just say 99, and we're going to go to font and make it 12. Yeah, 12. we will center the horizontal and vertical alignment there. You can see that it's still a little bit off, so we're going to come down to render transform, go to translation, probably add one in each column, and it looks a little bit off, maybe like 0.5 and 0.5. That looks better. And that's all we need to do. So we're going to hit compile. So I said before that we're going to do the majority of our scripting for our HUD inside our HUD class. But for this specifically, we want each individual slot to be doing its own thing. So for that, we need to do some scripting inside the actual slot here. Okay, so to start, we'll make some inventories. There's all our variables, by the way. First one will be a Boolean, and it'll be called slot empty. Next one will be item ID, which will be a name, and quantity. And you can probably assume that that means that we're dealing with our slot struct in this blueprint. Okay, we need another one called inventory index. And come on, index. And we need to get a reference to our inventory component. Component. Okay, and that'll be inventory component. There we go. We'll hit compile. Those are all the variables that we need. And we're going to work out of event pre-constructs. We want this to actually run before it actually makes or constructs the widget. Okay, so out of pre-construct, we're going to get our item ID. We are going to drag out of there and we're going to get row, data table row. And make sure that it's item data table. All right, so from there, we want to get our thumbnail. So we're going to just right click this, split the struct pin. We're going to get our item image, drag that out, and we're going to set brush from texture. And that'll come out of row found. And thumbnail. We'll go into there. All right, so text quantity now. Where'd you go? Item number, there we go. We're going to get that. We're going to set text. And we are going to drag out of here and we're going to get our quantity. Sorry, we got to drag it out of here. Quantity. Get quantity, drag it in. It's going to do that little convert to float node or convert text from an integer. All right, now we're going to hide the number thing that I was telling you guys about earlier. So to do that, I'm going to drag out of quantity and we're going to check if it is greater or less than or equal to, less than and equal to. Got a little trigger happy there. Less than or equal to 1. Get a branch. And if we are less than or equal to 1, we're going to want to take our overlay. And we're going to want to set visibility for the widget. And we're going to set it as hidden. And we're going to just copy paste this down below here. And we're going to set it as visible. So make sure to set it as visible. We were talking about not hit testable self-null children before, but for the button specifically, we do want to, we are looking for mouse interaction, so we want to make sure that it's visible. So after we've done that, we're going to grab slot empty and we're going to set it by holding Alt. Drag both of these here. And we want to make sure that's false, because obviously if we've gotten this far, we've found a slot and it is not empty. If we do not find a slot, we are going to go through row not found, because the item ID will have none in it, and there's no row called none in our item data table. So it's going to run down here, and we're going to take our item image again. Get item image. We're going to set text, set brush from texture, from row not found. And we're just going to quickly create a new texture just to showcase that we have an empty an empty thing here. So click on, let's go to UI, is it items? Sorry, it's items, thumbnails. We're going to go to, we'll just get Apple, and we will duplicate Apple, and we're going to call this empty slot. We're going to go to our brightness and make it 0. And we're going to save and we're going to quit. And that's all she wrote. We'll select that guy here, empty slot. So when our slot is empty, it's just going to show an empty slot image and not an actual image. After that, we need to set our slot empty once again, but this time it'll be true. Okay. We also want to just confirm that this is hidden as well. So we're going to copy and paste that down here. Then we'll run that in there. Okay, we'll hit compile. That's all we need to do. So I'll just leave that on screen for a sec if you guys need to pause and look to double check. And now we need to do our inventory grid. So our grid is not terribly complicated, but just wanted to highlight exactly what's happening. So obviously this is all being done before the slot is made. So it's going to set the image and get everything ready for when we actually open our inventory, and then it creates the image there. But every time we pick up or drop or interact with an item, we want these to update in real time. So in order to do that, we need to make a custom event. Custom event. Add a custom event. We're going to call it refresh slot. Okay. And we need to click on that. We need 3 inputs for this. So, which we can actually probably just do with this. So we're going to drag our item ID out. Get item ID. And quantity. Pardon me, we don't want to get these. We want to set them. My apologies. So item ID set, quantity set, and inventory index set. So the inventory index is just going to, it'll sync with the inventory component on which index inside the component is referencing this particular item. We just want to sync that with this widget. Okay, speaking of the inventory component, one thing we didn't do, which we want to do now, is we want to click on this. We want to expose this on spawn, which means that we spawn in create to widget. It's going to populate the inventory component so that we can actually plug it in. I'll show that more to you guys when it actually happens. So we'll expose on spawn. We'll make this not instance editable. Item ID. We're going to want to expose on spawn. And quantity, we're going to want to expose on spawn as well. Okay, so yeah, because you'll notice like these will have no way of communicating with us unless we expose them on spawn, and then we can actually plug the variables into that create widget. Okay. Oh, sorry, we gotta do instance editable for these guys as well. Okay. Hit compile. All right, so now we're gonna set these. So we'll just line them up like so. Something like that. Just trying to make it like look neatish. All right, so now item ID will plug in there. Quantity will plug in here, and inventory index will plug in here, and then we'll just make sure these are all connected. And then this is going to go plug into get item data table row. So we're going to set our new item ID, new quantity, new inventory index, and then we're going to run this again. It's going to set a brush if it has a new item, or it's going to clear it if we've dropped an item or anything like that. Okay, so now we're done. We're going to go to our inventory grid. So we'll close this. We're going to go to our UI widgets, and we'll make a new user interface widget. And we'll call this one inventory grid. The GID. Inventory GID, everybody. Okay, we'll open that up. So this one isn't going to be as complicated as the others. We're going to start with a border. Okay, for the brush, we're just going to hit none. We don't really want anything here. We just want to have something to anchor our grid to. So we got a border now, and now we're going to add a scroll box. So if you decide to add more than 24 spots, this scroll box will then populate, and it'll increase your inventory so you can scroll down, etc. Okay, after that, Pardon me. We're gonna do desired on screen. That's what it's gonna look like, and that's what we want. Padding we will take out as well for this scroll box for now. And the border I think has padding too. It does. We can clear that. Okay, last thing we're gonna get is we're gonna get a grid panel. We're gonna drag that onto the control, or pardon me, the scroll box. The grid panel, we're going to make sure there's no padding as well. Alright, so the grid panel is going to populate with all of our inventory slots, but we're going to do it with code. Alright, so once we have the grid panel, we want to make sure that the grid panel is a variable. We're going to just name it grid box. Alrighty, that's it. We are going to do the rest with just blueprint code. We were going to get rid of all this here. We're going to make an event called display inventory. So custom event, display, go away box. I hate that that box shows up literally exactly where you want to type. Display inventory. And this display inventory is going to have an input of inventory. Oh, what happened there? There we go. Okay, which will be our inventory component. Let's promote that to a variable. It's going to be called inventory. And from our inventory, we want to get our content. And we're going to want to do a for each loop. We're going to create an inventory slot for each individual thing. Okay, so we're going to want to create a widget now. Create widget. So it is, like I said, going to create a widget for every single item we have in our content. Okay, so the class we want to do is the inventory slot. Okay, there's all of our items that we exposed on spawn. We want to break this struct pin, and we want to plug in item ID and item quantity. And then we're going to just plug in our inventory here. All right, after we've created our inventory slot, we're going to want to set some padding. And we're also going to want to grab this array index, and we're going to promote to variable. And we'll just rename it inventory index. Or, yeah, inventory index. There we go. So basically we're creating all these indexes so that our content and our slots and everything have the same inventory index, so everything is talking to each other effectively. Alright, so we need to make a new variable, which is going to be a new array. And the reason we're doing this is because of optimization purposes. I will explain it more as we go. We're going to rename this and call it slots. And we're going to change this to a array. Okay, we'll just delete that for now. We'll drag out the slots array. And we need to drag it out of there into insert. Okay, we're going to drag this here. The index we want is here, and we want to drag our inventory slot return value and plug it into here. So we're adding that in. Following that, we're going to want to grab our grid box, and we're going to want to add child, or sorry, not add child to grid. Okay. Content, once again, is going to be our, it's kind of a bit of sketty, but okay, so we're going to want to add our return value from our widget into the content. And then we want to set how many rows and columns we have, and to do that we're going to drag out our array index. We're going to divide it, and we're going to drag that into rows. So now we can tell it how many rows we want. So I'm going to say 6, which is based on my things. And then we're going to drag out an array index again, and we're going to get %. And this is going to get the remainder if there's anything left over from those columns, and it's going to be, or pardon me, from those rows, and it's going to make it into a column. So in this case, I'm going to just do the same amount. And that's it. So that'll set our slots up inside our grid. But we need to add some padding just to make sure that everything looks nice, you know? We're going to drag out a return value, and we're going to set padding. The in padding, you can just split that struct pin. And what I found works is, I think it was 10 on the left. 10, 4, 4, and 4. Okay. All right, going back to that optimization thing. So now that we've created, you don't ever want to create more than one widget when you don't need to. So we're going to use this. It's going to create 24 widget slots, and then it's going to add it to this slot array. So now we have 24 inventory slots that just exist. Okay, because what would happen is that every time you open your inventory, it's going to create 24 new slot widgets. And that's obviously not what we want. So, because at the end of the day, you'll open your inventory like 100 times, and now that's 20, whatever that be, 240 widgets in your game and memory. So it's taking up too much memory. So, okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our slots, and we're going to is valid index, and then we're going to get a branch from that. So what this is going to check, so 0 is the first number in the index. We're going to check and see if it's valid, meaning is there anything in it. If there's something not in it, that means that it's empty, and we have not created the widgets yet. Okay, so this is going to come out of the false branch, all of this stuff here. So we're going to grab this. We'll just drag it down. Oh boy. Let's just do this to keep it clean. There we go. Okay, so out of the top here, all we need to do instead is we need to just update the index, or pardon me, update the slots. So we're going to grab our inventory, we'll grab our content, and we'll get a for each loop. Okay, and all we need to do is we need to get our slots again and get a copy. We need to plug our array index in, so we know it's the, because remember we matched up the arrays in both of our inventory contents and the slots, just so they're the exact same. We're going to get whatever array index this is, and we're going to refresh that slot. So refresh slot. Okay, we will split struct pin once again so we can plug these in. And inventory index will get, or pardon me, inventory index will be the array index. Okay, that is all we need to do. And that's the end of the video. So next video, we're going to make our inventory page, and we're going to put our grid in there. We'll get a button going to make sure we can close the inventory. We're going to set our UI, pardon me, our input to UI only, and then have a input watch so that we can exit and get our character control back. It's gonna be some good stuff, but that'll be the next video. I appreciate you guys joining us here, and as always, make sure you subscribe for the channel for more tutorial videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.